After a 2-month delay, Dragon Ball Super Superhero has finally released in Japan. But because of that, that does raise the question, when are we going to be getting superhero content in the video games? Now, as of right now, there's only 3 games that has superhero content within it, being Super Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon Ball Legends, and if I'm not mistaken, as of today, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. But the characters that we have in those games are surface level characters that we've seen in some sort of promotional material, like teasers and trailers and whatnot. But what I'm more so fixated on today is, are we going to be able to see characters that we didn't see in that type of promotional material, characters that they've purposefully held back from showing us, and when they're going to be coming into Dragon Ball Legends specifically. So with that being said, this video will 100% have spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. So if you do not wish to have the movie spoiled for you, I highly recommend that you click off of the video now. But if you stick around, you have been warned. But with that being said, let's get into it. Dragon Ball Super Superhero does have a good amount of characters that they can add into Legends, 2 of which are already in the game, being Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. But apart from those 2, there's still a good amount of options that they can put into Legends. Now, the characters I'm about to announce right now have already officially been shown off by Toei, but they can add Team Goten, Team Trunks, Pan. If they really wanted 2 fat Gotenks, there's also 18 and Krillin, and there's also Vegeta, Goku, and even Broly. Those are all fantastic options for characters that they can add into Legends, whether they're free-to-play units, summonable units, or even EXs, they're still good options. But apart from those characters, there's actually 3 in particular that they absolutely have to have in the game, one of which has to be either an LF or an Ultra. Now, these 3 characters are characters that have not been officially announced by Toei and are 100% spoilers, but those 3 characters are going to be a particular form of Gohan, Piccolo, and the Big Bad, being Final Gohan, Orange Piccolo, and of course, Cell Max. Now, with those 3 characters, I absolutely see Gohan being the LF, and the reason being is because we do know that once he becomes Final Gohan, he uses Special Beam Cannon, which apparently there's a rumor going around that they're actually not going to call it Special Beam Cannon in the dub, which is weird, but he uses Special Beam Cannon as his finishing move. So I can definitely see that being his LF. The one thing I would not want to see is him being like, base form Gohan that would transform into like maybe Ultimate Gohan, or Ultimate Gohan that would transform into Final Gohan. I think it's probably best at this point to just give us the unit. And if they really did want to give us like a superhero version of base form Gohan or Ultimate Gohan, then probably have it be a free-to-play unit. I think that's probably the best route that they can take. But Final Gohan absolutely has to be the main headliner, as well as an LF. That's just facts. But apart from that, there's also Piccolo as well. Orange Piccolo, if I'm not mistaken, was something that Piccolo wished for from Shenron, not to actually become orange, but more so just to have a power boost. So that's what happened with him. But on Piccolo's side, I actually know that kind of falls alongside with Gohan as well, where I would much rather have Orange Piccolo be the summonable unit instead of it being like a base Piccolo that transforms into Ultimate Piccolo, or an Ultimate Piccolo that transforms into Orange Piccolo. I would much rather just have it be Orange Piccolo and then have like Ultimate Piccolo be like a free-to-play unit or something of the sort. Again, things could fluctuate, but I do think that that's probably the best route for those 2 characters, because I can absolutely see them being in Dragon Ball Legends 100%. But the other thing is the final character I mentioned, which is Cell Max. And Cell Max obviously is not Cell, right? It was the experiment that Dr. Hedo was working on, but for whatever reason they decided to release him early. Think of it as an unintelligent Cell. And with how large that character is, I significantly doubt that character will be added into Legends ever, unless they make giant characters playable or able to be fought against in some sort of raid or whatever the case may be. But it's a cool concept, but I think that type of character will more than likely be in like Heroes or Dokkan, or I was gonna say Xenoverse 2, but they don't really add raid characters like that. It's unfortunate. It is what it is though. But I can see that character being in other Dragon Ball games, not in Legends, just because giant characters are not playable, nor can they be fought against. So Cell Max, I don't see happening. Final Gohan and Orange Piccolo, on the other hand, absolutely. Strictly focusing on Final Gohan and Orange Piccolo, we do know that both of them should be on episode sagas from the movies. But if we separate them based off of their tags, we know that the tags for Final Gohan should be Sun Family and Hybrid Saiyan. And we know that the tags for Orange Piccolo should only be Regeneration. Now, it does raise the question, what element factor will these units be? Now, I have a few ideas in mind. If we focus on Gohan, based off of his tags, that Gohan, I believe, should be a green unit. And the reason why is because Hybrids has no green unit, with the last effective one, if I'm not mistaken, being Drip Trunks, which that unit was good when he released, but he's definitely fell off by now. And with Sun Family, there is still Zenkai LF Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but that unit is starting to show a bit of age. And not only that, that Goku's biggest perk was him being able to cover vanish, and that gets nullified easily now. So that Goku doesn't really have that room to shine anymore, and because of that, if they wanted to replace a green unit on that team, they absolutely could. But that's based off of Gohan's tags. I'll get into what else I want to talk about concerning that unit later. Focusing on Piccolo now, Orange Piccolo could be either a blue unit or a yellow unit. Now, the reason why I think a blue unit is a good option is because on Regen, the main blue unit is Zenkai 21, the neutral 21. It's not the good 21, it's not the evil 21, you know, the blue unit. But the reason being is because that 21 is primarily a support type. So if they wanted to add either a defense type or, you know, a melee type or a range type, they absolutely could, to give you a bit more of either a defensive option or an offensive option for a blue unit on that tag. Not saying 21 is bad, because I'm pretty sure she could definitely work alongside Piccolo if he was also a blue unit, but I do think that if they want a bit more of a tank or an attacker, they definitely could fill that role on Regen with the new blue unit. But apart from that, there's also the yellow unit, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the yellow units on Regen are practically Piccolo units, which is very, very weird. But also, all three of those units, being the free-to-play Piccolo, as well as Demon King Piccolo and LF Piccolo, don't really get used anymore. And the reason is because, apart from Demon King Piccolo's ability of being able to steal Dragon Balls, which is always going to be a good perk, they don't really hold their weight in the meta anymore. There are too many red units out that can obliterate those units effortlessly. So again, that makes me believe that if they were to make this new Piccolo yellow unit, he could also be a defense type. So again, it's just speculation based off of their tags, but if we focus on episode sagas from the movies, this is where things get a bit more complicated. For sagas from the movies, there are only two element factors I can realistically see being replaced, with those element factors being a red unit and a yellow unit. Now, that's not saying that movies doesn't have units that they can use for those element factors respectively, because if you go with the red unit, there's Bojack, who does still get used to this day, with his awakening arts hitting extremely hard. Although it can't kill, it does still hit very hard. And then with the yellow unit, there's too many options. You do still have Gogeta Blue, who gets used to this day. You have the yellow Super Saiyan Goku from the Cooler movie, and then you also have Zenkai Super Saiyan Goku from the Broly Second Coming movie, where if you don't use him as your main yellow unit, there is still the option to have him as a bench unit to help boost yellow sagas from the movies units. But thinking about that, I did also say that Orange Piccolo should be a yellow unit as well for Regen. So if I were to go based off of that, the most realistic approach would be have Orange Piccolo be the new yellow unit, and if we go with the red unit, that would go over to Final Gohan. And the reason why I don't believe the other element factors would get replaced is because we did just get Gamma 1 and 2, and those units are green and blue respectively, and if they're really trying to promote the movie, I significantly doubt they would replace those two units that quickly. So I don't think that they would be green or blue, and not only that, especially not blue, because we have Ultra Super Gogeta. So blue is ultimately safe for a very, very long while. And there's also the purple unit. it's going to be extremely hard to replace the purple unit for movies, because Tag Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta are still some of the best units in the entire game. And not only that, they're a tag unit. And because of that, they're able to swap and cover both green units and yellow units. That utility is extremely powerful, and it's going to be very hard to replace unless they release a purple unit that just so happens to be better than the tag mechanic, which I significantly doubt will happen anytime soon. So I think that those three characters, Tag Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are going to be safe, which will protect purple, blue, and green units respectively. So the only element factors I can see these units being on sagas from the movies would be red and yellow. Now, putting all that to the side, the real question is, when can we expect to see these units? Now, personally speaking, I strongly believe that we can see those units during part 2 of the anniversary or a bit after that point. And the reason why I believe that is because this wouldn't be the first time where they've announced or shown off characters in some sort of new media for Dragon Ball, and then we get those characters in the games before the Western release of said media. Examples I have are Battle of Z, where we got both Beerus and Whis in that game first before the release of Battle of Gods in the West. We also had Xenoverse 1, where we got Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta alongside Golden Frieza before Resurrection F released in the West. And then after that, we have Xenoverse 2, where we got UI Goku, to the point where they gave him a move he doesn't even use at all, being Godly Display, before he was finally shown off in Dragon Ball Super. And then the most recent examples would be in Dragon Ball Legends, where we got both Broly Fury as well as Super Saiyan Broly that transforms into full power Super Saiyan Broly before the Broly movie released in the West. And then Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 came into the game in April, with that movie only releasing yesterday in Japan. So if they really wanted to give us the new characters before the movie even releases in the West, they absolutely could. That's why I strongly believe that we could get them either during part 2 of the anniversary or a little bit afterwards. It would be really, really weird for them to not strike while the iron's hot, because at this point, a lot of people already know of the characters. We're not daft to that concept. So it would be best for them to strike while the iron's hot, while the hype is at an all-time high, and give us those units so we can get like our first look at those units in the games before we actually get to see the movie. All in all, those are my overall thoughts about the characters that are in Dragon Ball Super Superhero and when I believe that they would come into Dragon Ball Legends. I'm personally extremely excited because this is new forms of content. Again, not something that we've seen in any Dragon Ball game before. This is fresh, new content that not only will be in Dragon Ball Legends and more than likely the other games as well, but for the newer Dragon Ball games that we'll get in the future, this is now newer territory that they get to explore, and I cannot wait to experience it all whenever we get those characters or media in general. But I do want to know in the comment section below, what are you guys' thoughts on the leaks that happened with Dragon Ball Super Superhero, as well as when do you believe we'll get those units in Legends, and do you believe that Gohan will be an LF unit or an Ultra unit? Again, let me know in the comment section below. With that being said, I'm Ndukauba, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.